You know what that look is, right?
I know exactly what
Do you
that
know
look is.
the look on my face is? Really? Really? We're gonna do this again? We're gonna do this
you
again?
you miss it. You miss it.
What did I call it? The loop tape of stupid, right? America and Iran stuck in a loop tape of stupid. And here we are.
How does it feel to be in the minds of stupid? To see how stupidity works.
You know what that saying is that being stupid is like being dead. Is that because when you're dead, you don't feel the pain of the stupidity of others, right? So that stupid people don't feel the pain of their stupidity. This is mind-boggling that we are in the middle of a international crisis that appeared to be sliding down, and that, hey, look, I expect Iran to do things like essentially enforce the Iranian traffic separation scheme. We predicted on my show that Iran would probably take a shot at somebody just to make sure everyone understood that going that southern route, which they had over 50 ships the other day exit the Strait of Hormuz, about a third of them went the southern Musandam Peninsula, what we're calling the Omani traffic separation scheme, or the U.S. Oman traffic separation scheme. The rest of the ships went out naturally through the Iranian TSS, and nobody had a problem with that. Iran was making it clear the MOU, as far as they're concerned, is Iran and Oman control the Strait of Hormuz. And on the day that Oman and Iran sat and met and issued their own communique that they would be managing the Strait of Hormuz, Oman themselves said, we are not going back to the way it was before. Every ship is going to pay a toll going in and going out. And the Iranians just made that clear that they were going to enforce that with violence. But you would think the United States could withhold essentially trying to restart the war. Because the tanker that got hit, by the way, the container ship, the Evergreen line ship, got hit, damaged in the bridge, fully functional, fully operational, ship continued on, no crew injured. When the United States throws a strike at Iran, it kills people. When we drop bombs on air bases, we kill on missile bases, you kill people, you attack with the intent to kill. Now Iran's going to go, oh, you want to fight? Okay, we can do this too. And unfortunately, in the last hour, the IRGC has put out a statement. I'm sure I don't
No,
want to
it's
get
not.
ahead of your
No, it's
speed.
not. No, it's not. It's not. It's been deleted. I know it's been released. It's not official.
The
I know which
Iranian
one you're talking about.
statement.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not. It's not official. Yeah, the IRGC has not put out a statement yet. There was one floating around, but that one's Urib said this is not accurate. And the news outlet that put it out, it's called ISNA. They were the ones that published this one. They've retracted it. So there's
Is this
no
the
IRGC
statement from Ibrahim Aziz for the
Oh, I
National
thought you said
Security Commission?
No, that one is true. I thought you were talking the
Okay.
IRGC statement. No, this one's
not the
accurate.
IRGC.
Read that one. Yeah, this is accurate. I
It
saw that one.
says, we warn the heads of the Gulf Cooperation Council. Gambling on your American scenario will squander your stability and security. You saw how U.S. military bases in your countries turned, instead of providing security, into a source of threat. Missile power, drone capabilities, and the management of the Strait of Hormuz are Iran's serious red lines. The only way to ensure regional security is to distance yourself from America. We've been saying this for months now. Iran was now going to do this, decouple their Gulf state allies, because it was very clear the Iranians, however you want to hear it, YouTube, Iran has won this war. They have met all of their national objectives in this war. And war is the mission to impose your will upon your enemy. They have imposed this will upon their enemy. The Strait of Hormuz will remain closed until Donald Trump pays up. We're paying up. The Gulf states will decouple from the United States. Now we had this meeting between the Gulf states and the Iranians are going to meet for their own regional security framework. That they essentially start walking away from the Ibrahim Accords, that's looking at you, United Arab Emirates, and start viewing this as inter-Arab, inter-Muslim dialogue. That's actually happening. And of course, retain all their ballistic missiles, retain their nuclear materials. Yeah, got rid of an old Navy, but $300 billion could rebuild them a new Navy, Army, Air Force, Marine Corps, and all of their drones and ballistic missiles that they've expended since 2024 with the first ballistic missile war with Israel. That's a lot of money. So Iran has met all of their goals. And we said this on your show, Mario. They're going to convince the Gulf states, not that their defense lies in cooperation with Iran, but the Gulf states' defense lies on their own. You cannot rely on the United States to be your protector anymore. And if you do, well, you get 500 more missiles.
Let's talk about this today, because I don't know. Today, I feel J.D. Vance put out a statement, and I agree with it. He said, Iran signed a ceasefire agreement. We have honored it. Not in full, obviously. What's happening in Lebanon, they haven't really honored it. The withdrawal of Israeli forces it's not meant to happen instantly. It's meant to take time. They're meant to talk about it, etc., as part of the negotiations. But there is a ceasefire, not perfect, but very close to perfect. The attacks are so limited. So the Americans have really shown there's intention to abide by the ceasefire, a lot more than many of us expected for an MOU that's really positive towards Iran. And the clause 5 says Iran will do everything in their power, or will try their best to make sure there's safe passage in the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
They struck a ship yesterday and again today. They fired. There was an alert that went off on my phone. I really thought Malcolm would laugh if he finds out.
I heard.
I immediately speculated it was probably an attack on one of the ships. It was. They fired drones and 2 missiles on the ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. J.D. Vance put out the statement, and I agree with it. You can convince me otherwise, and you're good at doing that. He said, Iran signed a ceasefire agreement. We have honored it. If they have a disagreement about how the MOU is being applied, they can pick up the phone, but violence will be met with violence. And Iran, they were not happy with what's happened on the Omani side. They have the right to be pissed off. But that is Omani territorial waters. If Oman decided to let ships through in coordination with the U.S., Iran should deal with it diplomatically as per the MOU terms, and Iran decided to strike one of the ships. I'm not saying its intensity of the attack of the Americans is justified. As you've explained well, the U.S. attack did kill people. The Iran barely struck a ship. The Americans could have struck a ship as well. I think it's a good argument. But there's a pretty valid point here that the Iranians did breach one of the clauses yesterday, and the U.S. is retaliating.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. I agree with that statement. Iran did breach it. However, I'm not here to be an apologist for Iran. I'm just going to explain to you how the mindset of the IRGC operates. Okay. They are a force unto themselves. They control Iran now. They didn't control Iran before. There were various power levels that were going at each other. Most Iranian commanders, they wouldn't give 2 Fs about this MOU. Okay, they want to get their licks in. But when you're talking about shooting what probably hit the Ever Lovely, which was the name of the container ship that got hit, it was probably a small, loitering munition. Hit the bridge, blew out the windows. Okay, nobody got killed, hurt. Ship's still underway. But when we come back with a full force package, and I've said this at least 6 times on this show, every time the Americans did it, we have a pre-programmed set of targets that we're going to hit. And that capability is not for tit for tat. It's designed to continuously degrade Iran's capability for further action. Iran understands that. So now Iran's going to play a different game. Because now, as far as Iran and many of the hardliners in the IRGC are concerned, so the Americans want to break the ceasefire. Okay, we hit a container ship. You killed our service members and hit Iran physically. Okay, you could have gone out and found one boat and sank it, right?
Agreed.
Or, gone out
Or
and turned back a merchantman coming out of Iranian waters. But this is Pete Hegseth. We've said this, it's like every other week. Hegseth, Rubio, Netanyahu are sitting on Trump's left shoulder, and they're going, hit him. Now, on the other shoulder is Lloyd's of London. We got 70 ships came out in the last 24 hours. I was watching the live feed coming from, the tanker trackers on the AIS. It was looking great. Ships are flowing out north and south. The only thing they're not doing is going through the old traffic separation scheme. Nobody's taking that risk. Most of the ships that came out through the south scheme were container ships. Most of the very large crude carriers went through the Iranian scheme because they don't want to take any chances. 3 VLCCs did come out through the south. But Iran is making it clear they control the Strait of Hormuz. And they're willing to blow up this deal because the internal pressure you and I and all of your guests, including Donald John Trump, who came out and said on the G7 summit, if you want to see bedlam, the United States cannot handle 4 more weeks of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. The Strait of Hormuz it used to traffic 300 merchant tankers a day. We would have to have 1,500 a day now to get back to a normal status quo. We are getting towards oil tank bottom in parts of the world. And if that happens, and Trump, by attacking, has just guaranteed the SOH is going to be closed for 3 or 4 more days. Guaranteed. No one's going to start moving VLCCs through there. Container ships, yeah, that's just containers. That's just stuff. Oil and urea nitrate and natural gas. A liquid natural gas carrier getting hit by a loitering munition will blow up like an atomic bomb.
Like the Qatari explosion.
Yeah, or the one where the Ukrainians used a sea drone in the middle of the Mediterranean, and they called it Second Sunrise. I mean, and that ship is derelict, drifting, and I think it may have finally sunk after a month. But this is not a joke anymore. They really should have exercised statecraft here, which is to go to the Iranians, form a diplomatic protest, and come off it. But by coming and doing a full strike package against Iran, what is it? You had some guys that didn't get their combat action ribbons or their air medals, and you wanted to get them that during this operation. This, we are really going to have to exercise some restraint, or we're going to go back to, or the Iranians are going to take it up. Now, tonight, I don't know what's going to happen. What could happen is this. They blast Kuwait again. Just to remind them, right? 10, 15 ballistic missiles, or they hit another target out there, some target of opportunity. Or they start hunting with their loitering munitions to see if the Apaches. Don't forget.
Can't they just close the Hormuz?
Yeah, they could close it right now. Let's see if there's any communications. Right now, it's you're in Abu Dhabi, right? Or you're in Dubai, right?
Dubai, yeah.
So you're what 0200? So
2:30 a.m.
2:30. Okay, yeah. So it's 3 a.m. So you're in the witching hour, by the way. Okay, you're between midnight and 5 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. That's when shit goes down. That's when shit goes down. I forgot.
Shit's going down. There are guys getting their tea, their dates, and fried bread, and they're going to their wives. They're getting ready to launch ballistic missiles. He's like, after this kebab, they're going to start launching ballistic missiles. So that's the hard reality of how this goes.
So U.S. officials, by the way, the point you've made, I want to highlight that point. We've talked a lot about it. The Americans, every time they've attacked since the ceasefire, the initial ceasefire, not the MOU, all the attacks have been to degrade Iran's ability to control the Strait of Hormuz, its radars at the coastline. They did it. That was the first thing I thought, because I remember you've explained to me this a few weeks ago. As soon as this attack happened, the first thing that came to mind when I knew there's an attack, I'm like, it's probably the radars. And just now came in, U.S. officials tells me, who's that? Who's saying that? I think CNN. That doesn't matter. Nikki, who's Nick Schifrin? Doesn't matter. He's in one, I think CNN or PBS. U.S. official tells me 6 U.S. aircrafts attacked 4 Iranian targets. The targets were radar installations as well as missile and drone storage. In Sirik.
Yeah, same place. Sirik, the Sirik underground. Sirik is the underground tunnel complex in which any ship missiles, high-speed small boats, have been stored forever. There's a video of it. You can find it online of them. You see the small boats going down there. There's sea mines. They're like, oh, we need to close that. We need to close that cave entrance again, because that's all they can do. They can't actually damage that thing. It's under a mountain. And
It's insane how deep
if
it
you
is.
tell me, Malcolm, the Iranians got hit today, I'm going to go, they hit the Sirik Tunnel Complex. They hit, they hit Chabahar Bandar Jask. They hit the radar at Kashem Island. They hit Bandar Abbas weapons storage facility or something like that. Here's what's happening at IRGC headquarters right now. Ya Hussein, we need another radar. Yeah, Kishem, bring it. We've got 6 more. These are probably commercial surface search radars. These are not advanced radars. These are the kind you could put on top of a boat, and you're going to see that because the Strait of Hormuz is so narrow. You could have kids up there with binoculars giving you more intelligence about that. And you can launch drones and loitering munitions from everywhere. But I think the Americans should have exercised restraint on this one, because now we could be getting into it. What do we got here? Oh,
That's
there
the
it is.
underground
That's the
naval
boat complex. Yeah,
That is wild, man. That is wild.
It is. There's mines, and a lot of that was for show, but a lot of that show is real. And to be quite honest, they really haven't. We haven't sunk those boats. We had that about 4 weeks ago, that 150 squadrons of boats come out. I was like, whoop, there's the boats out of the tunnels. But they do have tunnel entrance and exits. So you can hit those just to remind everybody who's down in that complex, hey, we know where you live.